Recording in progress.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Town of Fairfield Conservation Commission, actually Wetlands Agency. Today is February 5th, 2025. Lucas Thomas, Dabney Bowen, Ricky Boucher, Jay Fain, who is online, Peter Hood, Cato Mahoney, Ted Luxinger. So everybody's here as the full members, and then Diane Saunders, Heather Rosenthal, and Salvatore Vasallo are also here, and they are our alternates. And yeah, good, great. The moving on to number 3, the approval of draft meeting minutes, Inland Wetlands, January 8th, 2025. Are there any questions or comments for those particular meeting minutes? Nope. All right, motion to approve them. Anyone? Fred and Dabney seconds, all in favor? Aye. And okay.
Excuse me, are any of the alternates voting tonight?
No, it's a full, we have a full board right now. Yep. Yes, everybody. Okay. All right, so I want to make sure, Commissioner Fain, you're there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, just wanted to make sure because I'm going to go into the public hearings part
Great.
now.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so now we're moving on to Roman numeral 4, public hearings. The first one, which was continued WP-24-0127, Herrera Engineering, 1237 Stratford Road, that's the M&T Bank, map 46, parcel 28. Removal of existing failing retaining wall, construction of a new modular block wall within a regulated area. Decision may be made if the hearing is completed or the hearing may be continued. The original 35-day public hearing timeframe to complete the hearing ended on January 8th, 2025. A 28-day time extension was provided by the applicant for continuation to February 6th, 2025. An additional 37-day time extension may be provided by the applicant. Further public hearing continuations to March 14th, 2025 are possible. The potential continuation date is March 12th, 2025. If the hearing is completed, the agency shall make a decision within 35 days. Commissioners eligible to vote: Lucas Thomas, Dabney Bowen, Peter Hood, Cato Mahoney, Ted Luxinger, and Diane Saunders. Commissioners that were not present on December 4th, 2024, and are Richard Boucher, Heather Rosenthal, Salvatore Vasallo. Commissioner Boucher, if you were to vote tonight, you'd have to state on the record that you listened to the recording and viewed the exhibits. I did not. You did not, so then you would not be able to vote. Okay. And then commissioners not present on January 8th, 2025, to be eligible to vote, they must again state on the record that they've listened to the recording and the exhibits. Again, are you, Commissioner Boucher? Commissioner Fain, that goes for you, and Heather Sal, but you won't be there. Okay. Okay, and then pending receipt of public input, staff does not recommend approval until additional information is received, reviewed, and discussed. So that's where we are. Anybody here for M&T Bank? Yeah. Please step forward, state your name for the record.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jim Westendo. I'm a licensed professional engineer. We're engineering with offices located at 1 Enterprise Drive in Shelton. Also here with me is Bill Kenny, who is our soil scientist. Trying to project our drawings here. Since the last meeting, we have prepared a bank stabilization plan. Bill's also prepared a planting. And I believe the bank stabilization plan is in your packet. Yep, reading now the bank stabilization plan. As you may recall, on the easterly bank of the stream channel there, the contractor had installed some stone, smaller stone, which was not part of the original plan. What we've done is we've taken a look at that and looked at this in two parts. One, adding some larger riprap in the lower section of the slope there. What we're calling for there is we're going to try to maintain as much of the stone as possible, just to kind of minimize any further disturbance on that embankment. So in that lower area, specified on the plan to remove stone as required, just to maintain and establish the stream channel width. Then be replacing that stone with a larger riprap, a Connecticut DOT specification for standard riprap, which specifies no less than 15% or no more than 15% of the stone mass is less than 6 inches in size. And that 75% of the stone mass is 15 inches or greater, and no stone's greater than 30 inches in size. We're going to extend that up the embankment approximately 4 feet to elevation 96. Then we'll be transitioning into our planting zone. With that, I turn it over to Bill, and he could talk about his planting plan.
Good to see everyone. What I'm proposing here is that, as Jim was saying, to minimize the amount of disturbance, keep that smaller stone in place, but come through and remove it just in areas where we want to put shrubs. And the idea would be to just fill that with native shrubs all the way up. There's a fence, there's a chain link fence that runs along the top here. And there's another fence. The fence comes all the way around for safety. The idea would be to fill this whole area with shrubs. It's not a large area. You pull sides the stone, pop in a shrub, and then leave the stone as a stabilized ground cover. But over time, these shrubs, we're picking the black chokeberry and the St. Lucas elderberry, common elderberry. Put the elderberry a little bit lower on the slope and the black chokeberry up higher, and these will just fill that in entirely. And you won't even see the stone once these all go in. So it's pretty simple, small area. You know, there's a lot of development already around here.
Do we know if that has ever flooded up to the, grade?
I don't know if there's any record of the water like spilling out onto the parking lot.
Yeah.
Where the pipes, the capacity of
Right.
can't go across the parking lot down through the condos. I haven't
No.
for that yet.
Okay.
So now.
One of the other items that was a recommendation in the staff report was the preparing a no-rise certification, that there would be no increase in flood level. Typically what we do with that is we do reference our approved plan. So we haven't prepared that yet. We have done some calculations. The cross section of the plan has not changed. We could see fit at the time when we have our approved plan that we can do approval, and then we would reference our.
Commissioners, any questions?
Did we get the zero rise analysis that they were asking for in November?
That is what I just,
That's right.
Any other questions? Tim, do you have anything?
No, just for the record, this is the first time staff has seen the planting plan.
Right.
I don't have any concerns, I think it could be appropriate. But haven't reviewed it until.
Right. I mean, we came here for an emergency and that was basically done. Now we're just kind of cleaning it up at the end of it, if you will. Maybe it's best if you would have to give it to us, the continuance to get all the paperwork in, so we can view it and then just vote on it at the end kind of thing.
Yes, if that's what would, if that's makes the
I would
group
prefer
comfortable.
that. I don't know if any commissioners feel differently about it. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so, we're presenting the extension, you'll get in, hopefully not, a couple of days before the next meeting. We'll put it down for the next meeting and we'll have time for staff and us to review that last bit that's coming in and also now the planting plan, which seems appropriate. I just want to take a few extra more minutes to look at it. Okay, so we'll continue this to sorry, before we do that, is anybody here? It's still a public hearing, so anybody here in the audience, in the room, that wants to speak in support of this application? Anybody here in the room wants to speak in opposition? Anybody online that would like to speak in support? Anybody online that would like to speak in opposition? Then the public hearing will continue until the next meeting. The applicant is granted an extension. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to number 2, also continued. WP 24-0137, Salerno 378 Hunfield Road. Map 139, parcel 194. Construction of a new single-family dwelling with swimming pool and associated site improvements within a regulated area. The decision may be made if the hearing is completed or the hearing may be continued. The original 35-day public hearing timeframe to complete the hearing ends on February 12th, 2025. A 65-day time extension may be provided by the applicant. For further public hearing continuations to April 18th, 2025 are possible. A potential continuation date is March 12th, 2025. If the hearing is completed, the agency shall make a decision within 35 days. Commissioners eligible to vote: Lucas Thomas, Dabney Bowen, Peter Hood, Kato Mahoney, Ted Luxinger, Diane Song. Commissioners not present January 8th, 2025. To be eligible to vote, they must state for the record that they've listened to the recording and viewed the exhibits. Richard Boucher, Jay Fain, Heather Rosenthal, Salvatore Vassallo. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Okay. So who's here for 278 Penfield Road?
Online.
Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hello, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do today because I did give you the presentation last time and there were no questions, so there's nothing really to further address.
Okay. All right, so then we'll ask if there's anybody here that'd like to speak in support. Anybody here speak in opposition? Anybody online speak in support? Speak in opposition? Nope. Commissioners, any further questions? All right, with that, we can do a motion to close the public hearing. Dabney,
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
any head seconds? All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
okay. You guys want to take it up now or at the end?
You're just doing it now.
Yeah, do it now, okay.
Alexandra, get on with it.
So
Thank you.
anybody want to offer up a motion to approve? Staff recommends approval with just the conditions.
I make
I'll
a
ma-
motion.
I'll make the motion or, whoever else was doing it, it's fine with me.
Okay, Jay's making the motion and Dabney is seconding that motion. All in favor to approve with conditions?
I just want to mention, I did look at the tape and I did review the record, and so I am familiar with the application and I will be voting on this.
Thank you, Jay. And you've made the motion, so I'm assuming you're in the affirmative. Everybody else voted. Rick, well, so he's abstaining because he can't vote.
Okay, does Heather, can Heather vote? Even though she's not,
I don't know, were you on?
Yeah, no, but I did review the record for
You did review
January
the-
8th here.
Okay.
I just need to know how many.
But I don't remember if you were on when, at the last meeting, were you a alternate or were you a voting member?
For the January 8th meeting?
No.
Uh,
Were you?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that you shouldn't, she wouldn't be able to vote unless she was actually seated as
No,
a.
no, no, I think I meant, I thought I saw one of the alternates in here.
Oh, there was?
I thought, let me just,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
let's go to the minute. Let's see what it says.
I could be wrong. Diane.
It was Diane that was on.
Eligible to vote. Yes, she is.
Okay, so then Diane would be able to vote on this, okay? And Diane was somebody who was just eligible to vote anyway, so we have the motion from Jay, seconded by Dabney. Rick is out.
Right.
Everybody said yes, and Diane said yes. Okay? The motion passes with the approval with the conditions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, good luck. Okay,
Good night.
good night. Moving on to number 3, in the public hearing section. 30-24-0134, the Huntington Company, 1160 Basco Hill Road, map 239, parcel 7D. Construction of a single-family residence with swimming pool, patios, retaining walls, and associated site improvements within regulated area. Decision may be made if the hearing is completed, the hearing may be continued. The original 35-day public hearing timeframe to complete the hearing ends February 12th, 2025. 65-day time extension may be provided by the applicant for further public hearing continuation to April 18th, 2025 if possible. A potential continuation date is March 12th, 2025, and if the hearing is completed, the agency shall make a decision within 35 days. Commissioners eligible to vote: Luke Thomas, Dabney Bone, Peter Hood, Peter Mahoney, and for a comma, 8 persons. Ted Luxinger, Diane Saunders. Commissioners not present on January 8th: Richard Boucher, Jay Fain, Heather Rosenthal, and Salvatore Vassallo. And if you were to vote, you'd have to say, Commissioner Fain and Boucher, you'd have to state that you listened to the record and viewed the exhibits.
So stated.
Okay, so Jay is eligible to vote. Commissioner Boucher again is not. Okay, but before we get to that, we have council. How you doing, council?
Good. Chair, Commissioners, good to be before you. Chris Russo with Russo LLC offices at 10 Sasko Road in Fairfield. Here on behalf of the applicant. I'm gonna be pretty brief, Chair.
I'm gonna read this one last thing I forgot to read. Pending
No worries.
receipt of the public input, staff does not recommend permit approval until additional information is provided for review and discussion, including the Connecticut NDDB results. So that's where we're at. Okay.
Yeah, so this was, again, just a brief recap. This is a proposal for a single family dwelling. This is the private subdivision, private road subdivision that's down at the end of Sasko Hill Road. It was for 7 lots. This is for the development of one of the lots. You can see the single family dwelling here. We had a discussion at the beginning of the last hearing regarding where this work is being done and whether the inland wetlands actually has jurisdiction over this work. Because what you can see here on this map is that the inland wetlands are on the abutting property. And then the 100-foot upland review area is this line right here. And everything is being done outside of the upland review area. It's actually a bit of distance even between the upland review area border and where the work is. But we presented on it, and it was held open. We had submitted plans right before the hearing. And so for staff to be able to review that and the commission to be able to review that, and also for the submission to DEEP for an NDDB state listed species review. We, based on feedback from the commission at the hearing, we further revised the plans. not much, but there was, I know one change, probably the most notable change, was that there was originally fountain grasses that were proposed below the retaining wall. And those were, replaced with northern sea oaks and tufted hairgrass, which I'm told are native. So, and Tara Vincenta is on, I think, if anybody has questions for her on that. So that's probably then there was some drainage information that was submitted along with it. So I think everything's been resolved as far as the plans. I believe, I'm sure staff will comment on that. And then the other was to submit the review, in which we did. Unfortunately, that is on the state's timeline, which is their own, and they don't really care about anybody else's timeline. So, they have not completed their review. I did speak with Dawn McKay at Deep, and it could be a process. The state may decide to come out to the site and take a look at the area and evaluate it. So I'm not quite sure how long it's gonna take. Typically, they said it takes 6 to 8 weeks, but if there's site evaluation, it could take longer. In our opinion, we feel the commission is able to move forward and close the public hearing, because if Deep comes back with recommendations, we would just, abide by those recommendations. If it was something like you could not do work in the beginning of March because that's when a bird species that's there is breeding or something like that. I don't know the types of restrictions that come in, but I know there's stuff like with regards to box turtles and stuff that doesn't apply here, but it's something like that they could come back with some conditions. And we would abide by those, whatever,
Yeah.
they put forth. But otherwise, we're essentially just waiting on Deep and for their review.
I think it just makes it easier for us. You're waiting anyways. Can we just wait one more month and see what happens? You would have to grant we can't just make you do it. You'd have to,
Yeah, it stops us from being able to move along with the process, and I think you can condition your approval on what the state finds. And the question was, well, what if something comes up that's contradictory? And I think in that case, and my client is willing to take this risk, we would have to come back and discuss whatever that contradiction was. My understanding is probably gonna be something that would be additive to the condition, something like a time of year restriction that would go on top of whatever would be a part of your approval, rather than being something contradictory. But if it did come back with something that did contradict what you had in your approval, I think the way to resolve it would be for us to come back and discuss that specific situation with you.
if you were to come back, that would be some sort of modification.
Modification. We would file for a modification of the permit.
Would that just be longer for you?
I don't think it's, my client's willing to take the gamble that there isn't going to be a contradiction. And if this hearing were able to close and there was a vote on it, we would be able to start moving further along in the process. And, it's gonna take some time for plans and things to be done. And then if something did come up, we can come back and ask for that modification.
I mean, we have 35 days to make our decision. Right.
Yes, I think the challenge you would have, though, is if you close the public hearing, you couldn't take new information from Deep and entertain that in. So that's why I was thinking more of a general condition on it that would say attaches a condition of this approval is whatever Deep finds in its NDDB review. That's kind of our thought on it.
When are you planning to break ground?
Well, it's gonna have to go through the permitting process now, so I guess it's a question of how long that takes. I'm not sure how building permit ready the plans are right now, so there's probably gonna be a plan, a process of getting this to building permit level plans. Particularly the interior of the house. But otherwise, I think they would like to start as soon as they could once they.
So feasibly, you could be disturbing the land in the spring.
Yes, but what I would say is if you're if you have a condition on your approval that requires to wait for the NDDB review, we could not be granted a permit until that came back. So if you were worried about a risk of us jumping the gun,
No.
I think we would.
All right, commissioners, any other questions for the applicant or their counsel? Commissioner Fain?
Yeah, I just, do we have any idea what species that we're talking about? Is it a wetland dependent species, an upland species, grass species, an animal species? Do you have any idea whatsoever? Usually they give you some indication.
They didn't, they didn't give me any indication as to what the species were. I honestly, I don't, because I handled the subdivision. I didn't remember this coming up. I know there's a lot of bird activity there. There's no doubt about that.
I can answer that to some extent. I mean, it's primarily gonna be ground nesting birds. That'll be,
That's what my take is be also, but I just wanted to know if we had any confirmation of that. It's probably a plover or a tern. But sometimes it's lately they've been coming out a lot of concern with endangered grass and sedge species. So I wasn't sure if that was going to be a part of it or not. I suppose our jurisdiction is largely limited. You know, again, looking at our charge, it's what the impact is to wetlands and water courses, and without that knowledge, we don't know if there's any impact because we don't have that knowledge. I understand council's concern, but it seems to us it's a kind of a cleaner process if we could wait another month and get some indication of what we're dealing with.
Right, that's what we're asking council. He seems to feel that we would like to move forward. But if we don't get the extension, we kind of have to close out the public hearing and vote.
Well, I mean, if the commission wanted the extension, I'm not gonna. No, if you want the extension, then yes, but. You know, the one thing I'll say too, Commissioner Fain, about that, I think what Deep is gonna maybe be surprised to find is when they look at this area where, you know, there is a lot of the bird activity and probably where they're nesting, they're gonna find that there's already a conservation easement all over that area. And one thing you could see on this plan, and if you've been to the site, it's changed since, but if you were there for the original subdivision, you probably remember there was a road that led down to the boathouse. And so you could see that here outlined where it was. And if you remember, on one side of the road, it was natural. And then on this side, it was, you know, it was lawn, basically. There was a pool over in that area. And so, you know, so that's already all protected, which I'm sure they'll be happy about.
Yeah, I understand, but I just think that both from our perspective and possibly from your perspective, it's just a cleaner process. We can get the data and move forward with the informed decision. And if it's only a month, and from what you say, it's not really going to hold you up. I would appreciate waiting the month.
We all would. Yes. All right.
It may be more than that, just so you know.
Well, you know, I understand, but you know, you can push them a little bit, so.
All right, so we'll put it down for the next month. The applicant through his counsel has granted an extension. And we'll put it down for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. So that takes care, and that public hearing stays open, of course. Next, we'll go into applications for receipt. And the one.
You'll be my Pete.
WP 25-0015, Gillian Kenny Associates, LLC, 1118 Cross Highway, Patterson Club, map 220, parcel 23. Redesigns of golf course layout, including regrading and cart path relocation, modification to drainage and storage systems, construction of 2 new accessory buildings and associated plantings within a regulated area. The last day for public hearing or decision is April 11, 2025. The last regular meeting prior is April 2nd, 2025. And the staff recommends scheduling public hearing for March 12th, 2025 or April 2nd, 2025. But as of right now, we got 2 already on March 12th, right? But they're could be short.
Yeah.
So let's put this on March 12th. Nobody's sure. Okay. So, okay. And number 2 is WP 25-0018 on 45 Sterling Street, map 40, parcel 410. Construction of a new 2-story, 2-family dwelling with driveway and drainage and associated site improvements within a regulated area. Last day for public hearing and decision is April 11, 2025. Last further meeting prior to the 2nd, 2025. Staff recommends tabling pending departmental review. Okay, without any objection. Okay. Roman number 6, applications for discussion. Number 1, modification request for WP 24-0028, WP 25-0016, Mercedes 865 Pequot Avenue, map 241, parcel 164. Request for modification of permit WP 24-0028 to allow for construction of addition in place of patio, relocation of driveway, and minor changes to septic, drainage, and grading plans within a regulated area. The applicant requests a fee waiver, and the staff recommends approval with the existing conditions, but not a fee waiver. Okay, so who's here for that?
Good evening, my name is Kevin Klein, here with CBS Engineering. So the changes here, rather than doing 2 driveways, one of which came through the regulated area, the other there. Applicant is requesting that a single driveway entrance with a courtyard, all of which is outside the regulated area. The other change is this slight change to the building footprint, which is in place of patio. Patio was already being collected. The house will also be collected through a drainage system. No changes to the grading. Grading ends. Rather than going all the way to the property lines, actually. So.
If there's any questions.
What is the net reduction in size gonna be?
So for the overall site, there's no net reduction, but there is a decrease of 925 square feet of driveway that was in the regular. And overall, the driveway is increasing by 250 square feet.
What's for the requesting a fee waiver?
That is the homeowner that's requesting a fee waiver.
Something prompt the change?
Just the client requested the change to the.
I can answer to that too. I'm Kelly McGovern, I'm their garden designer. The house is coming out of the ground now. If you remember, there's a guy wire right about here, and it was just too close to the driveway when the driveway was curved like that. So we prefer to just get clear away from that straight entrance.
What's the fee?
It was like 18,000.
Yep.
3,000.
There's a letter attached to like the package.
Yeah, so it was gonna be
30.
814 and then something like that. It was gonna go, yeah.
So where it is 3,600. Change? Oh, I mean, not the largest fee I've ever seen. Let's take up the fee waiver part first. Any questions, comments?
I think it's a small modification of the plan here, I think, to make the plan more workable, and it's not gonna have any impact to wetlands and water courses, so I'd be in favor of it. They paid a substantial fee already.
I agree with that.
What was the substantial fee paid already?
14,000.
So it would bring it to 18.
Okay.
14,310.
I would argue the opposite.
You would argue the opposite. Let's hear your argument.
It's not in the spirit of why I would grant a fee waiver.
Okay.
I look to need, I look to, well, if it was a business, I might look to nonprofit, but I don't see that here, so.
Okay.
I'm being harsh, it's
Commissioner
just,
Hood, I was anticipating that this was a not-for-profit structure operation, and it's not, so.
Okay.
And I agree with the staff's recommendation.
Okay. Any other comments from any other commissioners? All right, is there a motion to approve the fee waiver?
I'll make a motion to approve the fee waiver of $3,622.
Okay, Commissioner Fain, would you second that if you?
Yes, I would.
Okay. All in favor to approve the fee waiver?
Aye.
Okay, so Commissioner Fain is aye, Dabney is aye, and Ted is aye. All opposed? It's Peter Hood, myself, Commissioner Boucher, Commissioner Mahoney. So unfortunately, the fee waiver doesn't, it's not waived. Okay. But now we go on to the meat and potatoes of it, the actual permit approval or the modification request. Is there any further comments, or would you like to do a motion?
I'd like to move that we approve the modifications.
Anybody second that?
Second.
Definitely second. All in favor?
Aye.
And that one's all around. Yes. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Better
Yeah.
driveway plan.
Nice. Okay, thank you. I like that. That was a good discussion.
I think that was a first
Yeah.
for this commission.
Yeah, that's good.
That we were almost down.
We're like at the third point now.
I'm like,
Good argument, but everything, yeah. All right, so move. Moving on to number 2, modification request for WP 22-161. WP 25-0019 4480 Black Rock Turnpike, LLC, 4480 Black Rock Turnpike. Map 116, parcel 33. Request for modification of permit, WP 22-161 from one building, 2 buildings, and associated drainage and site work modification within a regulated area. Staff recommends tabling pending departmental review. Is anybody here for that? Assuming they saw this and nobody's here, so we're gonna table it.
Just, I agree with the motion to table, but I'm just bringing forward, I think this plan is different enough from a significant point of view that we should consider having this reviewed at a public hearing, possibly getting a third party review person to take another look at this.
We'll get that. We'll get there. We're not there yet, Commissioner Fain.
I know, I just bringing it for you because it's discussing tonight. I just wanted to plant the seed.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So that'll be one of the considerations, next time we're there to see, see what they even did. Okay. Yeah, I know. Moving on to number 7, there's nothing there, so, and number 8, legal enforcement actions. Number 1 is 3642 Black Rock Turnpike, map 72 lot 150. Notice of violation issued to property owner for conducting regulated activities in a regulated area without a permit. No response to NOV or corrective action ordered to date. Town attorney is initiating legal action following expiration of 15-day publishing. That's pretty self-explanatory, but Tim, is there anything in addition to that?
Latest update is, I had a conversation with town attorney today. And that legal notice posted in the newspaper on January 17th. Like I said, we are past the 15-day waiting period this past weekend. The town attorney will be pursuing legal action.
Yeah.
To date, it's still gone unresponsive,
Okay. Well then,
unresponded to any of the letters.
yep. then that's what the purpose of the town attorney starting legal action is for, so that's a good thing. Okay. All right, moving on to number 2, the Pilot House Special Needs Resource Foundation, Inc., 1230 and 1260 Merlin Lane, map 220, parcel 11 and 12. Agency denial of petition for declaratory ruling, request to allow the position of asphalt millings to create parking areas within regulated area. Initial department meeting with Wetlands professional on January 28, 2025 to discuss concepts of corrective action. Then what you can tell us about this?
On the 28th, I met with Mr. Bill Kenny. Like I said, to discuss some concepts and potential design for parking ahead of a formal application.
Okay, so is this kind of sort of like a concept review-ish thing we're doing right now?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
I would say a discussion and informational session.
Good. All right, please. Your names, obviously, for the record.
Sure. Good evening, Bill Kenny with William Kenny Associates here in Fairfield, landscape architect, wetland scientist. So here on behalf of the Pilot House, and also with me this evening is Doreen Caruso. And we did put together some preliminary plans, met with Tim and Sarah, and Matt Decker was able to join us, which was very helpful. So we got everybody in the same room. It's been, I was out of town, I met with them for a week. I just got back today. Busy scrambling to get things done for you, but we did do some work. There's more work to do. But we just wanted to come here this evening, and the attorneys are away, so they're not here this evening.
So if you look at our agendas, this legal enforcement action, we list them here just so that we are on top of it. This is a good example of the participation with the staff. We know what's going on. You can explain this now, or you can, talk to staff and continue on when everybody's, so it's really, this is, at least we know the difference between somebody who's participating in the process. You saw or heard the one prior to this, somebody's just blowing this off, if you will. So if you'd like to present, that's fine, but if you're not ready, if it's not at that level, that's fine too. We know that you're moving on with the process. And sure, want your attorneys to be involved, that's fine too. Whatever you want. Yeah.
I can share during you.
The attorneys aren't here.
Yeah.
I just want to show in good faith that we are trying to remedy the situation. And Bill just we kind of thought it would be nice to come here
I
and
can
kind
tell
of
you,
give you.
I'm getting that feeling. So
Yeah,
that's
right.
so it's not at all an issue. That's why then it goes back to you. You want to feel more comfortable with your counsel here? You can do that.
I'm
If
fine with
Bill's
that.
here, that's fine. You would love to see what you got so far.
Yeah, so I'd like to move forward without them.
Yeah.
So we can keep the dialogue going and trying to move this forward.
Okay.
Okay.
And I have copies of the sketches if you want them. But we put together two different parking and drive layouts. One has parking at a
The turnaround.
60-degree angle, and one has a 90-degree. And then, the objectives were to meet the parking need, the traffic, and find a way to pull back the amount of pavement, and also increase buffers. Provide potential for some increased biofiltration, and then also preserve as many of the remaining trees that are there today. This is very sketchy. Yeah. You see the big red line is from the survey. It's not red on the survey, but there's a line on the survey that shows what the surveyor called the limit of the building. I understand some other areas where there's drives, there's some top dressing that occurred that went beyond this, but
I
this
just
is.
want to point out the top left, this is the bridge, right?
Yes.
Can't be used.
Yes. And I can. Yes.
Okay,
And that bridge part, that's currently because of economics?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, and you have the stream up in the top left coming down to culvert, you have Merwin's Lane on the left. The water goes under Merwin's Lane to the left. So provide the parking, we use the town's standards for a parking space would be 18 feet deep roughly. And you'd want an aisle that's 24 feet wide. And then for a turnaround, you want something about 100 feet in width. And the idea would be if there's an event happening, you wouldn't be having deliveries. So we are double using the parking for turnaround as well. So,
But then, can I just butt in? I'm sorry.
sure.
One of my concerns too is, God forbid, we have an event going on. We have, we have a farm, we have hay. I don't want to put in the hours, but God forbid, I need to have fire trucks pull in our parking lot and I've got an event going on. I have to be able, and this is something that the fire department has spoken to us way back when, because the fencing that we had up, that we had to take down for that reason, that they wouldn't have been able to get into the property. So right now, what we have for them to be able to get in is they can go through the back of the home, and then they can also get through it through the side. So we're giving them two entrances so that we can be able to get people out safely, because they're in the back, the events are in the back of the property. So we want to be able to get people out safely and be able to get emergency vehicles in.
So when they come in, they can either go straight or to the left.
Correct.
So with this, we would be pulling back in these areas that border the stream on the top left corner, and then also the wetland down here, we'd be pulling back and providing area to do some planting and biofiltration. For the most part, the parking lot or the paved area or gravel area pitches to the south towards the bottom of the page, towards that man-made pond in the bottom of the page. So it does not pitch to the stream that's at the top of the page. So we have more space at the bottom for that. And you also have that buffer that's in the middle of the parking itself to help with biofiltration.
About what is the elevation change from the stream up in the northwest to the pond? Roughly. Is it on the plan? I can't, your eyes are better than mine.
144, then it gets, the pond's around 140 and like the bridge is around 144, so. And you'll see if the land rises up. So the river itself is at a similar elevation as the pond, but the bank of the river rises up
Right.
and then it comes back down. So at the top of the bank, I think it's around.
Oh, there we go.
Good.
142 is in.
Yes.
Yeah, and then 40 is on the bottom.
Much.
142, yeah, it's mostly 142 through.
Then they have
The pond's around 140. That's what the water of the pond and the water of the river.
And is the island in the middle of the parking lot intended for biofiltration? Static?
That area also is where we have the filtration from the house. So that's in that area as well.
And it's where existing
Trees are.
trees are shown in those.
Oh, I
small,
see. Yep.
Like green circles. So we're trying to
Save the trees.
shape this in response to that. And then one thing that became very clear, having met at that meeting was very helpful. And we talked about the FEMA requirements as well. And on the property, there's a flood zone, but there's also the floodway. And so it's clear that the material and the floodway is that zone right top the stream and immediately adjacent to it, where during a flood, the highest flow rates, the strongest flow rates travel down the stream. So, talking with Noreen, she's willing to start to move that material out of that floodway, because, immediately, if, as we work through this, if that is something you would like her to do, she's willing to pull that back out of the floodway. That's a critical P and Z and an issue for you as well. You know, if that's something you want to consider, but that's something putting out there and see what offer to do. I think for now, that's.
It's.
Yeah, right. Oh, the one last thing, actually, I did some research also about parking and farms and. So there's just 3 other farms in the area that have parking associated with their operation as a way of Fairfield County farm. Many Fairfield County farms operate that they, it's not some farm where someone's raising food just for themselves but they have clients or customers or what have you. So these are just examples of some other farms, and they're obviously not the same size, same activity, but it's an example.
I was gonna ask you if there's a P and Z parking requirement for fun.
Let's say this is a commercial farm.
Well,
Just
yes,
that out there.
you're right,
It's
it
not a
isn't,
farm.
you're right.
Doesn't mean that the dialogue you're talking about is not significant. I'm gonna keep that in mind. It's a good comparison.
Right.
Disagreeing with Eric.
And it's good that it's not commercial.
Our next steps.
Yeah, this is just kind of letting us know what's going on.
Yeah. This shows a tremendous amount of effort.
Just the one,
I've seen, so.
Yeah.
Like both of you, it's effort.
I really would like to move forward.
Yeah.
And try to start to resolve this. Of me, that's amicable with you, but also understanding our situation and where we're at as well.
And I think I speak for everyone here. We would like to see this continue. We know what the operation does and we're all in favor of that.
And if anyone's slowing it down, it's Sir Consults.
Commissioners, any other questions? Yeah, please.
So these, the farm parking that you just provide with us, are these also in sensitive environmental areas or?
I know like Silverman's, they have ponds right adjacent to,
Natural or man-made or?
man-made, like this pond is man-made.
But they're not, I'm not familiar with all these properties, so are these also in sensitive wetlands?
I would, so like.
No, I don't think so, and gold rush and maple grow are on hills.
Yeah, I was gonna say that parking is definitely out, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's for myself. I don't have that information. I know Silverman's, there's definitely a pond, I think in the photo itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's man-made though.
Man-made, right.
Yeah.
And so the area here is for the parking, this is McAdam?
It is, the issue is that Millings put down, which is working on it.
So it's, it's asphalt. Is it pervious or impervious currently?
It's, in its current state, it's more pervious than impervious. So rather than being paved with heat and melted together like asphalt, it's
Yeah, but the tailings after a while, and especially after a summer, will meld together almost like asphalt and become impervious.
so
A very good road base in it, but it does it's basically ground up asphalt, so it does kind of reconstitute itself as asphalt.
I just want to commend the applicant for offering to move the millings out of the floodway, because hopefully this won't take much longer, but as we move into the spring where snow is melting and there's more rain, That was a concern of mine, and I'm sure some of the other commissioners as well. And I also want to commend you for coming here tonight when you didn't have to just keep us up to date. This is how we like to work with people, and I know that it was that you wanted last time, but this is a step in the
Appreciate
right
it.
direction. We
Right.
appreciate it, yeah.
Well, do we want to give feedback on the temporary removal of the milling on the edges?
Well, not only on the edges, but I'd really like to start to move it off of the sides as well. I want to get it all out of the wetlands now, if I can,
Well,
the immediate wetlands.
I don't think you can just, even if we say go do it, you shouldn't do it. You
Yeah.
have to file something.
Right.
It should be done with a certificate of wetland conformance.
Yeah. Is there any vehicle that we can use, or would it be like an emergency thing?
There's no emergency provision in the regulations.
Would be allowed if the agency's approval, since since the order was upheld, the order refers back to the notice of violation, which
So
required
we're still
removal.
under a notice of violation.
Right.
Right?
So it required the
That's right.
removal.
Because a new application hasn't
It
been,
hasn't been set, so
hasn't been filed yet, so
is that? Okay.
then
Is
it's up
that-
to the agency, right?
Right. So to us.
Yeah, you guys upheld the order to remove it, so it's already approved.
Yeah, I think that technically we should be doing it with a permit. I don't want to set a precedent, so, but how hard would it be to issue a CWC for this?
The regulations wouldn't allow a certificate to be applied to work in a wetland.
Yeah, we can't do
Have
it.
to- It
So,
has to be
then,
a full permit,
I think,
yeah,
which also was required in the NOV.
I think that within the floodway, I can show you that it's outside the wet. That we're. So like, here's the wetland line is here. So you can see the limit of the wetlands are here. So the floodway, I don't have it on this map, but the floodway is,
Oh, is outside.
floodway is somewhere. You know, it's this zone. So we'd be removing
the upper left.
that material back.
And that's your recent flag, Bill?
Yes.
So then Commissioner Fain's approach is accurate.
I'd feel much more comfortable. That's really the way we should be doing it.
But then it really doesn't make sense to do it twice. Just try to move forward as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, even with that, we have to work within certain rules. I think you can hear we all want.
Yeah, the other way we do it, if we did it, if they just did it, it would technically be a violation, and then we would determine whether we want to issue the violation or not, but it's, I don't think we want to encourage bad
Right.
behavior, so.
This is a good path
I
to
know, right?
continue on.
I don't know, would that be a good violation?
No, it would not.
We don't all want to go to Gaza. Let's do things the right way.
Okay.
All right, so we'll just
Good.
move on, but this is great.
Thank you very much.
Way to go.
All right. Moving on to number 3, under Roman numeral 8, legal enforcement action. Muddy Puddle LLC, 373 Highways, map 170, lot 36, conducting significant activity, filling of inland wetlands in a regulated area without a permit. Anybody here for that? Anybody online for that? No? Tim, what can you tell us about that?
For the NOV, outlines a discovery of fill material being placed across the street from, as many of you recall, the approved application to construct a single-family home on property at 361 Cross Highway. Looking at aerial photos, the deposition of material in wetland, you could very obvious. but supported by town maps, that material is deposited off the roadside into the wetland. I just gave a rough estimate of about 50 cubic yards. I discovered it. Yeah, just based on,
Is this something that's recent or is this something you just coming across?
relatively recent.
This
But
is done after after we process the violation on the other property?
It's across the street.
yeah,
Yeah.
But after we've gone through all the, talking and,
Yeah, right.
it appears
It's
that
new.
way based
Yeah,
on
it's
aerials.
new. You did it, well, somebody, the puddle is responsible, it's the owner of the property. But after all that we went through, there was a new violation across the street in that wetlands areas.
Okay.
So I discovered it, driving from our open space and noticing some tree trucks that were parked there. They were tree trimming, the 361 parcel. When I drove down the road, I could see that it had been filled. Looking at historic aerials back at the office, the timing is consistent with construction of the house across the street. So,
Okay.
What was it filled with?
boulders, gravel, fill.
Waste.
Yeah, maybe, I couldn't see any, I'll call them non-natural, fill or C and D. It was all stone and, gravel, sandy material. Created a parking area near a fire hydrant, directly across from the driveway. I issued a violation for requiring removal and restoration of the well.
And has there been any communication?
No communication to date.
Okay. Well, I think we're familiar with the violator, I guess. Let's just continue and see if he, comes about and
Yeah.
tries to communicate with you or, whatever it is. But let's
Thank you for going in there,
Yeah.
Tim.
let's continue it to the next month and hopefully he'll reach out.
you need a motion, or Tim, do you need us to uphold the violation?
Just
Not yet. The deadline was specified in the NOV. We haven't exceeded yet, so despite no contact,
You want us to do it anyway, so, we have to make that motion anyways, right?
No, we don't need to do anything today.
just information.
It's a notice, it's notice of violation. It's not
no
a,
order yet.
it's not an order yet.
Okay.
And Tim, number 4 is miscellaneous locations as attached. I'm assuming that's they're on a smaller scale or lower level.
Yeah, they're usually cutting or dumping wood chips or something like that, so I didn't, it was appropriate to list and detail everything.
Okay.
Just attached them. Some have been resolved already. I resolved one this morning and one yesterday, so they're minor, violators are gonna address them
Okay.
and move on, so.
I like that. Very good. All right. Commissioners, any questions or comments? No. Okay.
Keep it up.
Yeah, just, my comment is thanks, Tim, for going in there and finding that there was
Yeah, staff's doing a great job.
such an issue in the beginning and it's a reflective.
Very nice. Staff reports. Number 1, report from the Conservation Department. A, CWC permit applications received 9. 2, notice of violations issued 6, and 3, bond relief issued. Anything more than that, Tim? Not really, right? Okay.
No, we're still busy.
Yep.
February.
Number 2 is site walks for February. What do we just do?
We have Patterson Club and Sterling, 45 Sterling.
Yeah.
I could make arrangements if folks want to get to the Patterson Club again. This is for the record to point out that this is proposed activities are different than the in-water work that was previously approved. So this is kind of their phase 2.
Yeah.
Slightly, I'll say less significant because it's not, as drastic or dramatic in water work. But there's obviously work in wetlands, at the golf course. Yeah, a lot of site work. So I would make,
I'll vote, take a vote now with the commissioners. I remember going, I remember what it looks like. I don't have a need to see it again. If does any commissioner want to see it as a group, we can do it, or if you want to kind of get your pulse, or if you want to see it again, you can just ask Tim, just kind of do it on your own without a formal date and time. Most of us have seen it. We were there like with two or three golf carts that we went around with.
My pulse of that was, that the, people involved were really sensitive to the function of wetlands and to their value. And I think I said that stumbling, I said, you can't fake enthusiasm for that. And I mean, I haven't come, I'm not gonna, there's no pre-judging here, but I mean, there are people that do the right thing because they want to, not just because they have to. I think best practice is just part of what they want to do.
Okay. Yeah, for purposes of this, it's just the sidewalk, so I don't.
I might be comfortable with the map, is my point.
Yeah.
Not,
But they're very nice. Like if you want to go, they'll drive you around in a golf cart. But I wouldn't walk it.
I got a private tour. I got to see the.
No, I just want to say, I wouldn't try to walk it yourself,
Not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow.
No.
Silent. So I think on that one, if any commissioner would like to go see it on their own or with others, they're very welcome. Well, you know what? No, not with others. I'll take that back. If any commissioner would like to see it, do it on your own, coordinate with Tim, because if it's 2 or 3 of you together without an agenda, that's meeting, so don't do that.
yeah, we can't just walk around.
You can't just do that, but they will be more than happy to take one of you out, so that won't be a problem.
Okay.
All right, and then the other one, your link.
45 Sterling, we have the 9th, 16th, or 23rd as Sunday options. As a preference.
16th is a holiday weekend.
Mm.
The weather looks good. Like the weather this
Well. And 16, that's third. Any particular date? 23rd?
Did you hear Sarah said the 16th is a holiday weekend? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And if I may also point out, 45 Sterling abuts our Gypsy Springs open space on 2 sides.
Oh.
That's located off of, just past the Walgreens on Kings Highway. If you go up Grace, it's in between Grace and Beaver. Sterling's right there too.
It's hidden up there.
23rd work session.
Yeah, let's try the 23rd.
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 Never know it was there.
It might be
We're
warm.
gonna do,
I didn't know it was there.
I was like, what's this?
That's right, early,
10:30.
8:30.
We moved from 8 to 8:30.
Yeah, 8:30.
8:30 a.m. Okay, thank you.
When?
And you're not doing Patterson Club,
No,
right?
we're not gonna do
We're not
it.
gonna now.
But any commissioner may do it on their own through staff.
Okay.
Coordinate through. It's a site walk. Okay. And now moving on to other, number 1 is the Pledge of Allegiance. This is a different hat we're wearing. We did it last time in conservation. If somebody would like to. Or we did it last time. Does anybody care? We should do it. So keep it consistent. So.
I'd make a motion if we have to
Make a motion,
I'll make a
okay.
motion, we do it, as you said, to be consistent. And we are an official, commission of the town fair.
Okay, second? Wait, seconds, all in favor? Aye. Yep, okay. So that, we'll do it here too, so start from here on out. Number 2, I'm gonna say a quick one. I don't know if you saw Tim, emailed out a, memorandum of decision on the, Schultz's, is that who it was?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a great decision. And Commissioner Fain, you were quoted in it by Judge Radcliffe. Good job. And I think that that showed how we do sometimes we do it well. And I think that was a good case of the evidence was presented here, the record was clean. And if we can do that on a consistent basis, I think we're gonna be doing a really, really good job. Okay, good. Tim, you wanna add something on other? No, okay.
I would like to add one other thing that it was very nice going for a walk around Lake Mohegan on the Instagram account of conservation. Very nicely done. It's been reposted on Pollinator Pathway Fairfield, but make sure you follow the Conservation Department on Instagram because there's some good stuff coming up.
Excellent.
Nicole's doing a great job,
Good for her.
content and visibility.
That's great.
It's good to be out there.
Anything else by any other commissioners?
No, I just wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
I remember Tim telling us a story about other towns, one in particular is Ridgefield. And sometimes there aren't even enough people to turn the lights on. We have a full house here tonight. Everybody showed up.
Yeah.
So it really
Yeah,
says something
really
for
nice.
the organization and for the management.
Yeah, good job, everybody. With that. Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
And look at